Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Let's talk. The Baltimore Ravens lose. Same old story to the Buffalo Bills. Again, in Buffalo. And the question is why? Why do the Baltimore Ravens continue to get beat in Buffalo? At this point in the Lamar Jackson career, he has 2 losses in the playoffs in Buffalo, and then last night's loss in Buffalo. And it's not really on Lamar Jackson or John Harbaugh or even Derrick Henry. This team lost as a team, but there is enough accountability, responsibility, culpability to go around. And I'm going to talk about this team in some hard ways this week. It's going to probably take me until Thursday to get all of this out of my system before I turn the page to go to Cleveland. But the Baltimore Ravens, I figured out last night what their problem is. The Baltimore Ravens are front runners. That is a label that I had given a couple of other teams around the league, specifically the Cincinnati Bengals, where they would get up big and do some talking, some run up at the mouth. But that label now goes to the Baltimore Ravens. And they've probably been a front-running team for some time. I've just been reluctant to call them that. I mentioned them being front-runners earlier in the preseason, but they're absolutely front-running. They're a front-running type team. A front-running type team is a team that doesn't do things methodically. They don't have a real systematic approach to winning. They just thrive on the big play, which is what the Baltimore Ravens are. They're a big play team. And without the big play, they're easy to beat. Let me say that again. Without the big play, they're easy to beat. Let's go deeper. You see, it was probably at the end of the second quarter where I knew that the Baltimore Ravens would lose this game no matter what the scoreboard said. And I had said this, I was in the kitchen cooking, and I would go cook some food during the timeouts and game breaks and things like that. I said, the Baltimore Ravens are going to lose this game. But I knew for sure that they were going to lose at halftime. Yeah, they were up, and they were going to get the ball back to start the second half. But I knew that they would lose. And even when they came out after the half and scored a touchdown, I never thought that they were going to win this game. Why? Because if you watch this game closely and you pay attention to how the Baltimore Ravens were moving the ball, they only lived and died on the big play. There was no consistency to, hey, let's go 3 plays, pick up a first down, 3 more plays, pick up a first down. It was only on the big play. And without the big play, they didn't do that much. You see, what gave me a clue in the first quarter that they were going to lose was when their offense wasn't really clicking. It was kind of clunky, but they would score on the big play. When we got into the second quarter, right, things were going a little better and the running game got going. And I think Derrick Henry had 120 something yards at halftime, and everybody, on the telecast was feeling good. How can teams stop the Baltimore Ravens when they're running the ball like this, and so on and so forth? But yeah, Derrick Henry had 123. Lamar Jackson only had 67 yards passing at the half. And I've seen several people say, oh, Lamar Jackson played great. No. He played above average, but he didn't play great. And Derrick Henry was above average, but he wasn't great. And the defense was terrible. But just know I'm not done. I'm just getting started, as a matter of fact. You see, because when we were nearing the half, we had the ball, big play. I think it went to Zay Flowers, and he took it to the 17-yard line. We were right at 2 minutes, or had just went under. It was 1:58, if I remember correctly. So right at the 2-minute warning. And I remember saying, I wonder why I didn't stop and go to a commercial. That's not here nor there. But Lamar Jackson gets sacked for a 15-yard loss. So we go from the 17-yard line to the 32-yard line. So it's second and forever at the 32 versus second and whatever inside of the 17-yard line. So now all we have an option to do is just throw some screens, run the ball, and hope that we can get a field goal in, which is what we did. So we went from 17 points to 20 points. And I think we went up by 10. Pretty good lead, especially getting the ball at the half. But that gave Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills 25 seconds. And the dudes on the telecast were saying, hey, you know what? Is this enough time? The Baltimore Ravens have to protect the sideline, but they should know that, all those kind of things. And what did the Buffalo Bills do? Go right down the field in 25 seconds, getting out of bounds to get 3 points. I don't want to hear that the clock went to 0. And listen. When you leave the game in the hands of the refs, you get these kind of results. It don't matter to me whether it was triple zeros. It don't matter to me whether it was 1 second. The Baltimore Ravens should have never been in that situation. See, because if we do things differently offensively, we handle our own business. But because we're a front-running team, you always leave the door open if you're going to rely on the big play. So our 3 points was then negated by their 3 points. So it's still only 7 points. We come out after the second half, or in the second half, excuse me, and we go down and get points. We're up 14. Oh, we're feeling really good. 27-13, I believe it was. And then we, do some things. I think we end up punting or something. Buffalo goes down and score. We score. We go up 34-19, something like that. We're up 15. And you guys know how the rest of the game went. It was 40-15. Tyler Luke misses the extra point, and Buffalo comes all the way back and wins this game. You see, when you're a front-running team, you coach like a front-running team as well. How do front-running teams coach? They coach scared when the game gets tight. And that's exactly what Todd Monken and John Harbaugh did. I'm not putting this on John Harbaugh or Todd Monken or just Lamar or just Derrick Henry or just the defense. This was a collapse by everybody. Heck, the defense was never really in it. Yeah, they played okay, but they were never excellent in this game. And we'll talk more about them in a minute. But on offense, right? We never had no ball control drive. See, here's what's stupid about the coaching decision and the execution. We never had a ball control series in this game that I can remember. But now all of a sudden at the end of the game, when the game is tight, you know what we do? Let's go ball control. Let's try to kill the clock. We haven't had a clock killing drive the entire game, but now when it's inside of 4 minutes, let's go ball control. Inside of 2 minutes, let's try to hold on to the ball. Let's hand it off. Let's do a Zay Flowers end around. Like, that was a good play. And then when it's 3rd and 8, I believe it was, something like that, let's throw a short pass to DeAndre Hopkins that does not get us to the first down. Now it's 4-3. Now, Lamar Jackson said he was cramping, which is why he didn't campaign for going for it on 4th and 3. I don't know if John Harbaugh knew that or not. I just know that he didn't make a call to go for it. The least thing we could have done is turn around and handed it off. The defense hadn't shown the entire game to really stop Josh Allen. And once Josh Allen had gained momentum, why would you put the game in the hands of your defense? They hadn't stopped him all game. Keon Coleman out there looking like a man amongst boys. Didn't matter who was on him. Nate Wiggins, breakout candidate for the Baltimore Ravens defense, cooked. Jair Alexander, cooked. Linebackers, cooked. All game. Josh Allen, if I'm remembering correctly, had like less than 150 yards. I know he had less than 150. Maybe he had 160, but I'm pretty sure it was under 150 at the half. He ended up with 394. He hit them over the head for 240 yards in the second half, almost doubling Lamar Jackson's total passing yards. So don't give me, oh, Lamar played an excellent game. No. 200. See, I'm no longer settling for the 203-yard games as long as we win. Because you know what? In big games, those 203-yard passing don't get it done. The Baltimore Ravens left the door open the entire game. Yeah, they had a 14-point lead, 15-point lead, 16-point lead, or whatever it would have been. But they continued to leave the door open because the defense, now I'm talking about the defense, could never get a stop. They could never get a sack to close out a drive. They could never get anything done. They got one sack. Madubuike comes clean up the middle, gets a Josh Allen sack. But when they would get anywhere close to Josh Allen, he just moved to the left, move to the right, move up in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, put it on point. point guard status last night. You see, the thing is this. Josh Allen played like the real MVP. Yeah, I said it. I'm not a Josh Allen fan nor a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, but I'll give credit where credit is due. Josh Allen played like the MVP last night. He was the best player on the field. Matter of fact, he was the best player from week 1. The Baltimore Ravens defense are the worst defense in the league after 1 week. Go check the stats. Yeah, we were okay against the run, but hey, they didn't have to run. Josh Allen didn't have to run, and when he did, it was effective. James Cook didn't have to bust us up for 100. All they had to do was just, hey, get a couple of yards here, get a couple of yards there. But you know what? When he dropped back, he was dotting them up. Keon Coleman, Shakir, Kennard. It's ridiculous. And let me talk a little bit more about this defense. You see, part of the reason why you make a move and go get a guy like a Micah Parsons, because he was available, as we very, very well could see, is because the Baltimore Ravens, like I've been saying, consistently, I've been saying, they don't have that guy right now who can just go get the quarterback on his own. Again, I get it. We led the league in sacks. Calvin Noy had 12. Odafe Oweh had 10. But they were not sacks that those guys just collapsed the pocket and took the quarterback down. The sacks that they would get was when the quarterback was holding on to the ball and he moved into a sack. That's the kind of sacks they came up with last year. It wasn't no dominant edge just making plays. I watched the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Jets game yesterday. And when the Jets thought they really had something going, guess who showed up? TJ Watt. Changed the course of a series, got the Pittsburgh Steelers back into that game. Joey Bosa, a guy who can get his own. He showed up yesterday in the Baltimore Ravens game. I don't think he got a sack. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But he definitely made some plays off the edge, collapsing the pocket, making Lamar Jackson get off his spot, those kind of things. We didn't have those kind of plays yesterday. And then Ed Oliver, defensive player of the game, a flat-out stud. He showed up in the playoff game, and he showed up again last night. It was Ed Oliver who knocks the ball out on Derrick Henry. It was Ed Oliver who continued to get pressure wherever he lined up. But the Baltimore Ravens, we don't have that. And so part of the reason why you make that trade, if it was available to you, to go get a guy like a Micah Parsons, but last night's type of a game, to have somebody who can go get the quarterback. Now, here we are once again. I know Mike Green has shown some stuff. But number one, that was the preseason. Number two, that was against the Baltimore Ravens offensive line where he was showing some dominance. And number three, he's a rookie. Too much pressure for a rookie. And we don't have that guy. We don't have a guy who can go get his own. And that's what we saw last year as one of our biggest problems. And that's what we saw last night as one of our biggest problems. That's why that secondary is going to be in trouble for most of the season, regardless of the name on the back of the jersey. It didn't matter if it's going to be Wiggins, Starks, Hamilton, Alexander, Humphrey, or Awuzie. It ain't going to matter. If Josh Allen can stand back there, drink a soda, get a sandwich, and then throw the ball, it ain't going to matter. Because we don't have anybody who can get home. Got a lot of high-paid dudes, but nobody who can just really get home. Offensive line, I guess, played okay for whatever it was worth. But I'm sick of talking about the Baltimore Ravens in the same exact way over and over and over again, especially against the teams I put on that Rubik's Cube: Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's bad when you can sit and watch a game and you say, you know what, they're going to lose this game. And you can just watch them come to a slow grind and lose. And part of it, and when you have a front running team, you don't really have any dogs. You don't have no dogs on this team. A lot of people try to get in the comment section always talking about dogs. When I watch other content creators, oh, this dude's a dog, and this dude, we ain't got no dogs. Mike Green might be one at some point this season, but right now he's still a pup. What dog showed up last night? What guy on the team had the authority to snatch somebody up by the collar and say, look, man, we got to get a sack to close out this game? What guy on this team could be snatched up and say, you know what, you got to make this catch? Where was Mark Andrews last night? Where was Rashad Bateman last night? Where was Charlie Kolar last night? Where was any of them dudes? And can we stop? Can we stop Todd Monken? I know I'm all over the place, but can we stop with the Zay Flowers end arounds? Can we stop with that? Can we stop calling those type of plays in the crunch? Those are called gadget plays. Those are not a staple of an offense. And then what are we doing, right? What are we doing when the game on the line, you take the ball out of your best player's hands? They get the ball, let's hand it off. Let's give it to Zay. And then let's throw a pass. No, Lamar Jackson here just ran for 12 yards. And then I'm going to call out Lamar Jackson too. I got some more to deal with each player in a major way over the course of this week. But Lamar Jackson, brother, if you cramping up, talk to your coaches. Communicate. Coach, let me get a timeout. Coach, let me get hydrated. I know cramps can come on suddenly. But dadgum, you got a whole training staff and a medical staff. Communicate. This team is soft. This team is weak. And this team right now is a pretender. And you know why they're a pretender? It's because this is how we play against top-end competition. We can't get off the field. We don't get sacks and turnovers to close out drives. And we live on the big play versus consistent drives. And that's how we get beat. So that's my overall assessment. That's my overall assessment. It's the same old story. Same old story. We always find some type of way to get beat. No. We didn't beat ourselves. We need to stop with that narrative and stop with that narrative from last year's playoff game. Stop with that narrative from all the way back in the AFC Championship game. When we get beat, it's because other teams beat us. You know why? Because teams have learned, you know what? We can just wait around on the Ravens. They're going to F it up. You guys all don't curse, so that's the closest it's going to get. They're going to F it up. They're going to screw it up. And right on schedule. Ed Oliver busts through, knocks the ball out, turnover. They score. And yes, there were some coaching decisions in this game that was flawed. But you're not surprised, and I'm not surprised. Why? Because we lose the same way every single time. I got more to say. I got some Lamar Jackson commentary directly about him. I got some John Harbaugh commentary. I got some defensive commentary. And I got some Derrick Henry commentary. Stay plugged in. I'm your guy, Boulanger, and I'm out.